Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight we have a beautiful game sent in by Pixel Bandit in the Tier 6 American battleship, the Colorado. This game I decided to use on the channel as a community replay solely due to the fact that it has some amazing teaching moments in it. Now, I don't normally watch through, and I haven't watched everything, but this game has some really good teaching moments that I think everybody can learn from. So, hopefully you guys are ready. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. Don't forget, we are on the path to 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so if you guys are new to the channel, and I know for a fact that some of you are, the channel's actually been picked up again recently, so I'm glad to see that there are more new people showing up. And if you guys enjoy, make sure you guys punch that subscribe button. It helps the channel out. Let's be a part of this. Let's get this 50,000 done by the end of the year. Now, the Colorado's a great ship. It can be a bit inconsistent at times. Its guns can be a little bit trolly, but again, that comes with any ship that you have dual gun turrets. Tends to do the same thing, where you're just not sending as much shells downrange, so you notice the bad grouping a lot more with ships like this. But overall, the Colorado's a great ship. It's not fast, but it is very agile for a battleship. It has very good ability to turn. It is a super dreadnought after all, so it is one of those ships that you just absolutely have to learn to do the dreadnought shuffle. Now, we've talked about this multiple times over the years, but what do I mean? I mean, looking at an enemy, bow in,
enemy force detected,
firing your main guns off if you have to, but waiting for them to fire at you, then you swing out and use the rear guns. You don't want to be caught where you go broadside and get caught shooting at somebody. Now here, we've got to look at a Helena, but he doesn't get a chance. Horse fight finishes him off. He actually ends up wasting a shot here a little bit late. Not sure. Again, we're not going to be here to bash on anybody, okay? That's not what this is about. These are solely due to teaching moments that I'm going to teach you guys. So, we look at that right off the bat. We've all done it, where we go to shoot a guy, we tunnel vision, and we're like, okay, he's not going to die. We pull the trigger, and then they die right before we get there. Been there, done that, okay? But this next section of what happens is something that I have to point out. Have to. This is a great teaching moment. So there's a smoke screen ahead of us. Destroyer's already been spotted. He decides to try to turn to use the island for cover, but he's a little bit late in doing so. As soon as you see those destroyers pop up, you know torpedoes are on the way. There's only one reason they would get themselves spotted. So you know the torps are coming. So unfortunately, he does take a torp here. Now, he does something really, really bad here. He's going behind an island. There's nothing else there. But he decides to go ahead and damage con an engine being out while he's behind an island cover. He could have just used the island, went bow into the island, and sat there. But not only does he do that, but he doubles down. Now, I completely understand trying to get rid of a destroyer, but you just damage con. And also, look at the map. There's a battleship out in front of him, which we know is Queen Elizabeth. There's also a battleship off to his left and a potential cruiser off to his left. So he's sailing into a crossfire, and there's a destroyer. Now, the destroyer couldn't spot him, but guess who can? The Yuga. Now, having your broadside to a Yuga is a bad idea in any ship because you know he's got a reload booster. Has he used it? We don't know. So we fire the front guns over there. The rear guns haven't turned yet, but unfortunately this allows him to be spotted. The enemy destroyer is sitting there waiting for you, so you know that you've got to be expecting torpedoes, but he makes the wrong choice here. He turns back towards the Z. Where's the closest thing to the Z? The friendly destroyer, right? So the Z tries to torp the friendly destroyer with one rack. Well, what's he doing with the other rack? You know he gets two. And you're now broadside to the Yuga. Now, he slows down and avoids the first set of torps that were actually not meant for him at all, but he takes a beautiful look at the Yuga's broadside, gets a pretty decent accuracy roll, and of course Yuga gets another shot out. Now he takes a torpedo and takes a flood. Fortunately, Yuga manages to miss quickly, which is huge. But look how much health he has traded. Now, he gets his damage con back, he's going to use it, but look how much health he's traded in that instance. What did he accomplish? He didn't kill the destroyer. I don't even think he shot the destroyer. So all he managed to do here is put himself in a crossfire. He got one good hit on the Yuga, but he put himself in a crossfire, which allowed him to be beat up by two separate battleships at the same time. Plus, he managed to take a torpedo, which caused a little bit of damage over time. Now, he's going to be able to heal some of that back, but now Colorado versus Queen Elizabeth. Queen Elizabeth may be a lower tier ship, but it still has 15-inch guns, which overmatch. And, of course, he gets caught by the Queen Elizabeth. He gets a shot out at it. Queen Elizabeth is turning towards him. Not the best grouping you've ever seen in your life, but a solid hit. 5 shells on target out of 8 sent down range. Then you see the shells coming in from something else out there. We don't know what that something else is. There is another battleship out here. We just don't know what it is yet. So Queen Elizabeth, like we said, does overmatch, so any shells that hit the bow of the ship are going to go through. He shouldn't have to necessarily worry about the Yuga right away, but Yuga could just be sitting over there waiting to lob the island again. Queen Elizabeth is trying to do his best job. Oh my god, look at that grouping. That's better. If that's aimed well, it's going to hurt. And it does. A little high, but overall, a good shot, good result. Yuga has popped out the other side of the island. If you're looking at the mini-map, you can see that. So you've got to be thinking Yuga's going to shoot him any moment. He can definitely shoot over the top of that island. You can see that we are aware of this. So we're starting to look. We've got a Florida over there. We've got the Yuga over there. So here's a situation where I don't know that you want to take the shot yourself. The reason being, if you take a shot at the Yuga, you guarantee that Yuga's going to look back at you. Now here you can see he is looking at the Florida. Florida's not looking at him either, but he takes a shot. This could be a beautiful shot on the Florida. Florida, if you look, is slightly angled away. I don't know if he let him enough. Yuga was, in fact, looking in this direction, but is now sailing away. So now it's just us versus the enemy New Mexico and the enemy Queen Elizabeth. And fortunately for us, we have a battleship buddy on the outside of the map that's getting some good damage downrange. We have a battleship behind us helping as well. Unfortunately, they leave the Queen Elizabeth alive, forcing us to have to take a shot. Now, we get a fantastic shot over the island, completely invisible, so they don't even get to get retribution on you. That is the best kind, right? Utilizing island cover. Beautiful. Whether you mean to do it or not. Find those gaps where you can utilize those shots over islands so that you don't get detected. Nobody will see you if they don't have line of sight on you, right? So those shots you should be looking for in any ship, let alone battleships or cruisers especially. So look for those targets of opportunity that you can use to keep yourself safe. Protect those hit points. I am a very aggressive player. You guys know this. Anybody who's watched me stream knows that a lot of times I overextend, I put myself into bad positions, and it doesn't always end well. I don't care how good of a player you are. If you put yourself in... That's that Colorado dispersion you love. It does... I don't care how good of a player you are. If you consistently put yourself in positions where you're going to be fired upon from multiple different opponents in multiple different areas, so that you can't angle against it properly, you're gonna get punished. It's the law of probability. You cannot withstand a fight if you can't angle properly. And the more people shooting at you, the less likely you are to be able to angle. And there you again, that one was more of an aiming issue, but also you gotta love dispersion. Like anytime you're only firing 4 guns at a target, you're just gonna see that. I mean, we see it with the Georgia and stuff as well, but anytime you're only firing, and Ganais knows another one, anytime you're only able to fire like 4 rounds downrange, you're gonna notice how bad the dispersion is. It's just the way it is. Doesn't mean it's always the worst, it just means that you notice the bad salvos even more. Like this, fantastic accuracy on this shot. That guy's dead. Oh, he leaves him alive! He stays bow in, he's angled. New Mexico does not overmatch. New Mexico only has 14-inch guns, so now he's able to swing out. This is exactly what we talk about with the Dreadnought Shuffle. Swing out, and he can get a shot with the rear turret of Justice and Truth. And it's out. It doesn't look the greatest, but all he needs is 1, maybe 2 hits. And none of them hit. That is unfortunate, but it's okay because he still has the front turrets, and down he goes. But because he had to wait, he's still broadside, and he takes more damage. Nah, didn't really get too much damage. You got very lucky there that the New Mexico managed to miss most of those shells. That could have been a lot worse. He has 1 heal left, which is going to allow him to heal up to roughly... It's going to be about 27,000 damage. Each line in the health bar is 5,000 health. So you can assume that you're going to have about 27, maybe 28,000 health left. Maybe 29 if you're lucky. Now here, he gets a shot at the broadside of a Caracciolo. If he gets any decent accuracy here, he can slap this guy. Easy citadels. And unfortunately, he does not manage to citadel him, even at this rate. takes very little in return because he is well angled, and the guy doesn't have a way to overmatch it. He can overmatch the bow of the Colorado with the Caracciolo, but from that range, he's not going to. He's going to be shooting mid of the ship or the superstructure. That's where you're going to get the damage. But as you can see, we've got 88,000 damage. There's a Graf Spee out there. We've got the Caracciolo, again, another beautiful look, and this Caracciolo is just begging for it. You can't do this, but you can see he does turn in at the last second, protecting himself from getting citadeled. Anytime you're in a Russian or Italian battleship like that, and you're sailing broadside, you are just begging to get death struck. It's gonna happen. But again, we have a heal, and the American heals are very good. They're not quite British heals, but they're pretty good. Unfortunately, we did get reset, which is going to give our team a little bit longer to get this base cap. We are spotted by the enemy that's coming around the corner. He's taken a little while to recognize that the Yuga's there. Fortunately for him, the Yuga decides to shoot at somebody else. He does overmatch the Yuga. The Yuga is over-angled here. He could easily citadel him through the cheek, and he's looking for it. Oh, he gets a very good shot. Some of that terrible RG, but the problem is he's still broadside to a guy who potentially still has a reload booster. Now, we've already seen him use one reload booster. Doesn't mean he doesn't have another one, right? So, always assume that a ship has a reload booster, and there you can see he takes another nasty hit from the Yuga, and that's exactly what we were talking about. That reload booster is real. It's a problem. Always expect that they have it. Now, here his ally manages to punch him, and he's going to be able to finish him off, no problem. That was really good dispersion as well. But look at, this is where the next part of the teaching comes in handy, guys. You've got to pay attention to what you're up against. Okay, there are 3 versus 3. Your team has 3 cabs and a 160-point advantage. Okay, there is no reason for anybody on this team to push the enemy here. None. Everybody on this team should be holding back. Force them to come to you, force them to make the mistakes, but instead we see the allies do what allies do, which is just pull out, going for damage, go full broadside in front of a Caracciolo and a Florida, both fully capable of removing you very quickly. You can't do this. These are the teaching moments that I'm talking about. And here's the next teaching moment. If you are Pixel in this situation, you have to assume that both of those guys are going to die. And you also have to assume that you need to just get the f out of there. You have to protect the points. If both of these guys go down, you still have a chance to win on points. You're up against battleships. Now here he reverses. He's got a beautiful look at the broadside of a Florida who's not looking at him. Great opportunity to kill, and unfortunately leaves him alive. But the friendly, before he goes down, manages to finish off the Florida. Now, at this point, you run. There is no reason to continue this fight at all. Just run. We cannot lose this unless he kills you, right? You can't lose this fight unless you die. And by reversing out in front of a Caracciolo, broadside on, you are begging to die. So, here you can see he's already changed course. He's trying to go forward. He recognizes this is not the right way to play here. He does overmatch here, but he doesn't actually utilize the overmatch. It looks like he wants to aim high. He's got a Graf Spee out here. Easy kill. I don't blame you a bit for going for this, but I think you would have been better off going for the rear overmatch on the Caracciolo. Reason being is you can always kill the Graf, like anytime. And if you're in that situation, you know that the one guy that can really, really hurt you is the Caracciolo. So you take the shot at the Caracciolo going for the overmatch, and then you run. You put out the fires from the Graf. You could have potentially gotten the Graf as you were going forward there. Again, this is all like from the outside looking in. In the moment, it's a lot harder to recognize these things. But here, he just needs to run. He's got less than a minute. The enemy cannot win this fight unless they kill you. You are up by over 100 points. There is no way for them to win this fight. They have to kill you. So, in this situation, you just put yourself in a position where you cannot be killed before the end of the fight. You do not, under any circumstances, try to keep yourself in a situation where the enemy can actually close the distance. Now here, Caracciolo manages to get himself off the rock. He's following you around the corner, and unfortunately, he's much faster than you. But also, you knew where he would be coming from. So having the guns turned in advance would have been big. Here's another situation. This is a situation where you need to be using the camera to look out the rear of the ship. I've shown you guys this on live streams, but he does manage to kill, but unfortunately he dies in the process, and so we lose the game. Again, I'm not picking on Pixel at all. That's not what this is about. He had a great game, 180,000, carried the team really, really hard. Couple of misplays leads to the end of the game being not in your favor. But 2,200 base XP and a loss shows you everything you need to know about how he played. But again, we're here to showcase when we think we can learn from situations. And in that last duel, he had ample time to fire the rear turrets at that Caracciolo and would have likely killed him with just the rear turrets alone. If he forces that shot with the rear turrets around the island, he potentially citadels and kills the Caracciolo without ever taking a hit in return. But because he didn't have his guns rotated, he had to take too long. He ends up getting shot back. So they trade. Graf Spee ends up winning it. Now, if he had hit the Graf Spee, and that happened, Graf Spee dies, and then he manages to win because his team has more points and everybody died in the game. So again, I don't hate shooting at the Graf Spee there. If he's just got to make that shot. If he does hit the Graf Spee, he's a hero. But the other side of that is if you don't put yourself in a situation where they can YOLO you around the island like that and win the game, then you win that game. So let me know what you guys think, and thank you so much, Pixel, for sending this one in. I will leave a link to his YouTube channel down in the description. I don't know if he actually is uploading anything regularly or if this was just something that he's been uploading to here and there. But I will leave a link to his channel down in the description below if you guys want to check it out. And if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.